We got Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. I was just about to give up on you.
Great to see you, my friend.
I was just talking about the regulatory reform notes I had yesterday. Is there a model statute that ALEC has produced for other states to follow Utah and Wyoming on? Because that's a huge economic driver if we can get the states to deregulate.
Absolutely. I mean, essentially what we have is a model policy. We've been seeing some huge wins from Utah, and then recently we had Kentucky. The legislature overrode Governor Beshear's veto on this for the state level REINS Act idea that any of these major costs that are being done by administrative rule need to have legislative approval in advance. And so obviously a great follow on to the huge victory in the Chevron deference decision. And in this case, empowering where it should be empowered in the first place, the legislative branch to approve any of these costly rules that have a certain price tag. And states will vary on what that price tag looks like. But the important thing is the legislative branch, those are serving the people elected duly by their citizens, have that final say on things that are very costly to some of these states' businesses environment.
Jonathan, I'll get to rich states, poor states in a second, because I've got a little note here that maybe you're getting close, and I hope Ohio moved up. Has Ohio moved up this year?
I think you're going to like how Ohio's ranking, and I think how you're going to like how Ohio's going to rank in the coming years even more. If what I see in the news, people like Vivek Ramaswamy talking about eliminating the income tax, I think the discussion, I was just in Columbus, Hugh, a couple of weeks ago, and the discussion there is moving to a flat tax even this session and cutting rates dramatically in the Buckeye state. So I know as much as a Michigander, it pains me to say this, Ohio, I think, is leading the way in the Midwest in terms of a state turning it around, and I couldn't be prouder of our ALEC members leading so many of those victories.
Yeah, Jonathan, this is a shameless plug. I think ALEC ought to have its annual meeting in Columbus. It's clearly, we're the national champions, right? So we lost to Michigan, but we won. It inspired the Buckeyes to win it all. And Columbus is booming, and their legislature is doing good things, and Governor DeWine is doing good things. And either David Yost or Vivek is going to be the governor in a year and a half. How about that? Can you get ALEC to go there I think everyone would love Columbus. They would love downtown Columbus. I'm sure you love downtown Columbus.
It's a fun state capital. I'll say that. And, if Ohio keeps moving so quickly in the right direction, I think it's in contention. I mean, as you know, Hugh, we have Senate President Rob McCauley sitting on the ALEC Board of Directors, just doing such a great job over there, Speaker Huffman and the whole crew there. So we're really excited about what's going on, and glad Michigan could play a small role in that success this year.
Yeah, you don't always have to say that state up north whenever we're talking about the land of the free and the home of the brave down south. Tell me about Rich States, Poor States. It comes out on April 15th. Any major surprises? Look, it's sort of like Hack Madness that's run by the Ruthless podcast. You always know who's going to win. I kind of always assume Utah or Florida is going to win. Any upsets in the making?
There sure are, I was in Albany, New York this week with our New York delegation and Colonel Smullen, Assemblyman Byrne there, and it was a great event there where we put together. And New York has been a bookend for many years on the what not to do side of the rankings at dead last. That will likely continue in the foreseeable future unless changes are made in New York. We'll be flying out west, Hugh, so I think your intel was exactly right that you're going to see some of the familiar faces once again at the top of the rankings. And I'll give you a little bit of a clue. We talked last time about the SEC being such an impactful region when it comes not just to football, but to economics. We're going to see a major winner coming out of the SEC region in a state that just enacted major tax reform in the last year. They're going to be the big winners this year, Hugh.
Kind of a hint towards Mississippi, but we'll let that go until next week when we talk. I want to talk about specifically Medicaid reform. It's on the list of things that you're working on. It got done in Idaho. The Senate and the House passed the budget today. They got to look at Medicaid. They got to fix Medicaid. What did they do in Idaho, and how can that inform other states and the federal process of fixing Medicaid, which is badly broken and wildly expensive?
Well, you're right. And the discussion is needed here in Washington. We're seeing leaders here in Washington begin to bring that up again. But, as always, Hugh, states have led the way. And we're seeing states like Idaho push back this year to add things like the work requirements to the expansion of the so called Affordable Care Act with that Medicaid piece. But we're also seeing states wisely look around the corner to these discussions in D.C. right now, saying we are way out in front of our skis at the state level for the states that have expanded, unwisely so, that Medicaid piece. And for states like Idaho to say, if and when the federal government reduces aid to the states, they want to be ready. And I think that's exactly right. And this is one of the things that Utah has kept them at number one in so many years in the rankings in the past, Hugh, is they have these contingency plans in place to not be tied completely to the federal problems in the era of $36 trillion of national debt that we have. So kudos to Governor Little, to the legislature that put that through this year. It's a rational move. And given the discussions in Washington right now, there are a whole lot more states need to move in that direction.
Jonathan, do you think we can get people to understand Medicaid is not medical care? It's a piece of paper. For many years in California, when I lived there, I was on a board that gave a lot of money away to free clinics and Medi-Cal opportunities. The problem is often not that Medicaid is rare; it's that no doctors want it. It's so bad. Do you think there's awareness of this at the state level, and is it spreading to the federal level?
Not as much as it needs to be. That's why these conversations are so educational. That's what the work that ALEC and our members are doing across the country is so important, to relay that important message. And it's bad insurance anyways, and when it comes to the individuals. And one of the things that so many people forget is Obamacare essentially robbed the program to cover working age, able-bodied men. Out there, and in many cases disincentivize them from going to the workplace altogether. And so we're seeing this labor shortage. We're seeing so many of the fiscal challenges around this for bad insurance that doctors don't want to take. And it's, at the end of the day, signing states up to financial catastrophe if and when the federal government reduces aid to the states. And they've based so much of their budget on federal funds. And the fact that a couple of states now, Hugh, this is a big shocker. It shocked so many people. A couple of states, more than 50% of their total budget is now coming from the feds. That's incredible.
It's so upside down. Jonathan, can I keep you for 3 more minutes? I want to talk about the Tennessee Protect Teens Online bill, and we'll put it on the YouTube channel as well. Maybe I can use it tomorrow. Don't go anywhere, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome back, America. Jonathan Williams is still with me. Remember, sign up for the ALEC newsletter at alec.org/Hugh. Find out the state of the states. Jonathan, in the list of notes about the stuff you're keeping an eagle eye on, there is this Protecting Teens Online bill in Tennessee. Now, that's near and dear to my heart, but it's also, I know constitutional law. You can't be overbroad. You can't be vague. It's very difficult to do these sorts of things. What are they doing in the Tennessee bill? Do you think it will pass constitutional muster?
Well, I think it is. And this is very similar to the ALEC model, and it's similar to what states like Utah and others are looking at, is essentially the policy directs the State Department of Education to develop curriculum to instruct kids between the 6th and 12th grade range on how to safely navigate as much as you can social media and the internet. It's not a overly burdensome policy that we've seen maybe even introduced in other states, but it's something that simply adds that level of instruction to grades 6 through 12. And then hopefully at the end of the day, this is not something obviously, Hugh, that needs to be done solely in the classroom. This is a parental responsibility. We hope that parents take a much more active role in their kids' development and their interaction with social media sites and online broadly. But this is a step in the right direction to say we at least need to be talking about some of the best practices for online safety for teens and for kids. And this is just an important piece that Tennessee moved overwhelmingly on a bipartisan vote in the right direction.
So it's a curriculum content bill, not a content viewpoint non-neutral restriction of the internet. Is that right?
That's right. It's essentially just an educational piece that needs to be part of the solution. Obviously, parents need to be a much larger part of the solution, but something that states can be doing very much within a constitutional construct without any kind of challenge, I think. And what you're going to see is many more states, I think, move in that direction.
Jonathan, thank you for the extra time. Jonathan Williams is the CEO or the Chief Economic Officer or something or other at ALEC, but I like him. He's a good radio guest. And Ohio's moving up in the rich states, poor states standing. We'll know more about that next week. Go to richstatespoorstates.org or go to alec.org/Hugh. I'll let you know how the Buckeyes are doing. Don't worry about that. We won't talk about that state up north. Thank you, Jonathan.